Hello and welcome to another episode of the Debug Life. Today we're going to be talking about burnout, especially from a neuroscientific perspective, and seeing how we can develop a stronger default response, which is how we deal with challenges and how our brain sees the world. Now, in today's fast-paced and high-stress world, burnout has become a common problem that affects many of us. It can leave you feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and detached from your work or personal life. In today's post, we'll explore the science behind burnout and how you can use neuroscience to prevent it. The stress buildup that leads to burnout is associated with specific patterns of neural activity in your brain. Neuroimaging scans of individuals in a high state of stress reveal less activity in the modern areas of the brain, such as the prefrontal cortex, and increased activity in the primitive and reactive amygdala. The explanation of these changes is attributed to the brain's neuroplasticity. Picture your brain as a constantly evolving machine, always trying to streamline its operations. Its catchphrase is neurons that fire together, wire together, which essentially means that your brain is constantly rewiring itself to be better at processing whatever gets thrown at it most often. Encountering obstacles while striving to attain unrealistic objectives or facing an increased workload causes your primitive brain to dominate over your modern brain more frequently. As a result, you lose touch with the brain areas responsible for higher level thought and decision making. It becomes harder and harder to see the problems you face from a logical and pragmatic point of view. Your realistic perspective on the issues you face wanes, and it becomes more challenging to solve problems creatively. With less input from your modern brain, disappointments can be magnified and misconstrued as personal defects. These heightened emotions and stress trigger the reinforcement of reactive neural pathways, accelerating your deadline with burnout. The good news is you can use what you've learned from neuroscience to take charge of your emotional well-being and regain control of your decision-making processes. With increasing successful experiences in achieving goals, the same neuroplasticity that previously enabled your primitive brain networks to dominate in burnout mode can be used to construct a new and stronger positive default response. Your brain's powerful drive for intrinsic neurochemical rewards, specifically dopamine, can help you develop a stronger default response. Dopamine is associated with a deeply satisfying and motivating pleasure, released in bursts when your brain recognizes accomplishments. This intrinsic satisfaction can increase your motivation, curiosity, perseverance, and memory. To receive this pleasure response from achievements, you'll need to plan for your brain to receive frequent recognition of incremental progress. Setting goals requires you to consider how meaningful they are to you and whether they can be broken down into smaller chunks. Goals that can be easily identified with every incremental success allow you to experience the pleasure burst of dopamine accompanying your brain's recognition of achievement. Now, the way I personally do this is I set a 1 year goal and I say to myself every month, what is one thing I can do to get closer to that 1 year goal? And then every Sunday, I ask myself, what is one thing I can do each day this week to get closer to my one month goal, which gets me closer, one step closer to my 1 year goal. And breaking it down like that has prevented me from maintaining this to-do list that's just, 1,000 miles long and feeling overwhelmed, because every single day that I get a small step done, I get that little hit of dopamine. Now, in conclusion, understanding the role of neuroplasticity and dopamine in our brain can help us develop a stronger default response and take charge of our emotional well-being, thus reducing the risk of burnout. By setting meaningful goals and recognizing incremental progress, we can experience the pleasure burst of dopamine that accompanies our brain's recognition of achievement, leading to increased motivation and perseverance.